Hello guys, my name is John Hall, and what I'm doing is setting up the first of hopefully a long set of videos on just my comedy and what I've learned over the years that makes people laugh. I've done a little bit of stand-up at places like the Funny Bone and Station Square in Pittsburgh, but most of my practice has come from crazy people like my parents, first of all, and also basically people I've worked with. Obviously, 7 years in the military, you're going to meet hundreds of people that are going to make you laugh for certain reasons, and you meet a bunch of different people from a bunch of different backgrounds. So I'm going to get started and basically just talk about my parents. First off, my stepfather, who is really the only father I've ever known, has a few quirks. And first off, I think the one that makes me laugh the most is the refrigerator. When we were, younger, when I was younger, well, I guess we were all younger. If you were in the refrigerator and you're getting something out, like whether it's something to drink or you just can't think of something that you want, you can't decide. If that door in the refrigerator is open for more than 5 seconds, he goes clears his throat because he's all worried about the electric bill. And if it's 10 seconds, he starts breaking out in a sweat. Oh my God, it's going to be like an extra 3 cents. And he was so worried about the electric bill, I told him that person I work with, her boyfriend was an electrical engineer, and he basically said, it would cost pennies a year for keeping it open for 5, 10 seconds here and there. His other pet peeve was when it comes to electricity and technology, both of them are a doozy, but my stepfather insists on unplugging everything. So, other than the fridge, he won't unplug that because then the food would go bad. But the toaster, obviously the coffee maker, microwave, which to this date he's never used a microwave. Let's see. Oh, and lamps sometimes in the living room. But the big thing he would do is when people would come over the house, like my aunts and uncles, if they left a room, he would go in and turn the light out. And I remember one time my aunt turned around and was like, what the hell is he doing? So he's just so worried about pennies. And I always told my mother, if he's so worried about stuff like this, why doesn't he just get a better job, make more money so that he doesn't have to worry about that? But pinching pennies, I guess, was easier. Let's see, what else? Well, my mom got a new toaster and he flipped out. He's like, well, I'm not touching that thing. I don't know anything about it because he was used to the old toaster. And he didn't use the toaster for 2 months, and he loves toast every morning with his cereal. And cereal, that's another thing. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. But basically, he's very slow when it comes to eating. He's very bad with time management. And I remember when he was working, he even though he could walk to work, he would still be late a lot because he would just get caught up in something. And basically, he would pour a bowl of cereal and he would look at the clock. Oh, I gotta get out of here. And he would have half of it left, and then he would put it back in the refrigerator. Which I'm thinking, are you gonna eat that again? I mean, that's pretty gross. And then I blew his mind one day. I said, well, instead of you pouring a whole bowl, eating half of it, and putting it back in the fridge, why don't you just pour half a bowl? And if you're still hungry or you have time, you can pour another half bowl. And his mind just went poof. Like he had never considered doing anything outside of the normal. So that's one thing. Let's see what else. Oh, this is beautiful. And I'm going to end it here because I've got so many more I'd like to tell you. Well, basically, I would buy all their electronic items like, TVs, VCRs, DVD players, things like that. And one Christmas, I bought them the first flat screen TV. And my mom was all about it. She's like, oh, clear channels and, less room and, it's going to be flat. And it's not going to have that big bulky thing in the back. So she was happy. But my stepfather, first off, he just said, can we take it back? If I got to learn something new, I don't want to know. Once I turn 60, I turned my brain off and I don't want to know anything else about technology. But my mother insisted, and my father wouldn't let me put it together for him as far as hooking it up with the cable. And so basically, we had to call the cable company, have someone come out and install it, and they have something called a truck roll. So if they have to roll a truck to your place for any reason, $50. So he'd rather pay $50 and have someone spend 5 minutes in there hooking up a couple cords. Regardless, the guy was finishing up from the cable company, and he said, "Now with your DVD player, since you have a new television, the way I had it set it up, you have to hit two buttons now to watch your DVD. So you're gonna have to hit auxiliary and then DVD." My stepfather looked at this guy and said, "Well, that's okay. We just won't watch DVDs anymore." What? The Comcast guy and I looked at him like he had three heads. He didn't want to have to hit two buttons, didn't want to have to learn anything new, even though he was all about DVDs, all about going and buying them, all excited about watching some new movie. Oh, I got this for $4.99. He got so excited back in the 90s. So, literally, to this day, 25 years later, he still has not watched a DVD player because he didn't want to have to learn something new. That's my stepfather. And when you hear about my mother, she might even be quirkier. Thanks for tuning in to John Hall. Plenty more coming soon.